Hey guys, this is a video to kind of go over what we need to do to complete our game. Um, Not really sure where to start yet, but I do have a list. So I am recording a video. I will post the list as well, but I'm doing the video just to show you exactly what I'm talking about um, in regards to what needs to be completed. But first, I want to show you the forest level for those of you who were not there when I kind of just put it in there. It's not completed yet, but it is getting there. I'm actually gonna bump this up real quick to the way I kind of wanted to do it. Push it up, and that should be good. Anyways, so just to show you guys how it looks so far, and this is just put together real quick, and then it's going to go into another thing that needs to be changed about it. Hopefully this will work, since I was using a controller before and I don't have that plugged in. Okay, cool. So I added a light in here. I'm assuming that you want the girl to start in here, and then you could probably put the book somewhere along here. She fits through this log, so you could actually keep her here too. But this is what it looks like so far. I kind of added the clouds in there because it is a lemur, and I figured we wanted to go kind of for a like almost a jungle-ish look rather than a forest. I mean, I know it is a forest level, but I figured giving it kind of that jungle-esque style would help out a little bit. There's much more to be done here to make it look better, but anyways, you can walk through the log. I'm going to be putting a chase camera in here because this is the lowest the camera goes, but it's going to stick behind the player and you won't be able to rotate it while you go through a log. For now, she kind of just disappears into the log there, but hopefully I don't fall while I kind of show you what's going on here. Get the rat. The rat is perfect. This is like the perfect size for the rat, if I can get up on there. Really easy to get on here with the controller. It would probably be pretty hard to stay on here with the other characters because they are not as slow as the rat. So this is actually a really good size for the log there. I'm assuming the lemur might fit in here if you want to put the book before that, but the rat definitely fits in here just fine. Again, with there will be a trailing camera there going through this log. See if I can switch to the girl and just run through here. Yay, okay. So I wanted to point out these rocks are awesome. These little cracks that are in it really kind of pull out that cel-shaded outline that the shader gives it, making them look just really badass. Kind of makes me wish a lot of the other art was like this too, like the ground and stuff, but we have a limited time and everything, but these rocks are pretty awesome. Assuming you gotta jump up here. Everything works pretty well. I do have to say, however, the level was packaged was pretty much dead on. No issues. I did copy the game first because of that one issue we had before presenting that one time. Lemur's not in here, so I can't swing on that yet. But yeah, the level was imported great. I had no problems with it. Just went in and applied a bunch of materials real quick, just to give it some color, to saturate it a little bit. But the one thing I'm going to point out is like this tree model, for example, like it's all one object, the tree trunk and the branches, and then what are supposed to be, the leaves, the little mushroom discs on top. That's all one object. If you want the trunk to be brown and the leaf part to be green, those need to be separate objects. I'm not saying every leaf section needs to be a separate object, but like the trunk slash branches and then the leaves need to be like two separate objects. Like you should separate them in Maya and then export them as one, so it comes in as one object, but they're separate as that one object. Same goes for those little pieces right there that I'm looking at. Those like dead tree branches that are coming out. I'm assuming they're coming out of rock or dirt, but those would need to be separated for separate colors. That one looks like they're kind of one object, so that might be a little more difficult, but that would definitely help out a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and unplay it here and then show you a really big problem with color here. I'm going to turn off the clouds surrounding the way. Like right here, like this part would be dirt, these parts would be like floating rocks, and then you have these big roots coming out which need to be brown. Unfortunately, it's all one object. I mean, this is part of that one object. So if you separate them, then we can apply different materials to them to give them different colors. So that, you know, like these could be rock right here, these little platforms. Then you have the dirt, and so on and so forth. But right now they all pretty much have to be stuck to one color, which kind of sucks. Even if it were to be grayscale, you'd want them to still be different tones of gray, but we can't really do that because they're all one object, and that becomes even a pretty big issue over here too, because these really need, I mean, this rock color right here, like this gray with the black outline, looks really good, and I can't apply them to these floating pieces right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor, so I'll click these rock pieces right here. Yeah, same with these right here. Gotta get the branch portion to be brown, and then maybe this be a rock or dirt or something. Other parts. The dog has the ability to jump from here to here. So a couple things to fix that is you could move this piece here, like this starting piece, back and have the log angled this way so that the jump is too big for the dog. Or the other way to do it is to actually, you know what? That would be the best way to do it, because I see these rocks here, and you know, you could probably climb up there to get pages or a book. I'm not really sure what you want to do there yet, but yeah, or climb on the trees to get objects up here. You know, bounce up here. I'm not sure how else you set it up, but yeah, probably the best thing to do here is to move, like separate this whole thing here, like separate, because I click on it, it's all one object. So like these should be separate pieces, and then just move this portion, this little portion here. The part I'm clicking on, this little portion here, you should move that like back so that there's more of a gap between here and here. I don't know if that's going to make a difference. Hopefully that makes a difference. I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor now, but hopefully you do, so I don't have to always click on stuff. Anyways, so yes, if you separate these objects into different, you know, models, meshes, then we can apply different colors. It'll look great. You can move them and adjust them in Unity, instead of being just stuck with this and then running into issues like where the dog can jump over this gap, which I'll show you now. I mean, it's not exactly the easiest thing to do in the world, but it can take away from the game if a player tries to just jump like that and then, hey, look at that. The dog does slide around on a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of a problem. So we gotta fix that. And what else do we have here? Okay, so the UI here, from what Joe said, going to desaturate the buttons that are not activated. So basically they're gonna almost be grayscale, and then the one that's activated will be more color. I'm also going to be implementing the actual pages. Right now this is just 3, like it doesn't change or anything. So as you collect pages, that'll increase. And then over here, the health and the I believe the health and the power are implemented. I just need to actually like have the damage be applied again, and then the lives as well. So I'll be doing that today. In addition to that, let's see here. Oh yeah, so the lemur animations that we had talked about in class, Sabrina. Basically what it would be is, here's a vine. We would need a lemur jump, but not like a jump to the vine, just like a normal jump, just like the girl's jumping or the dog is jumping, just a straight jump. So when they jump with the lemur, when they're not at a vine or anything, that's good to go. But then you're also going to need a pre-vine jump, so it's kind of like he's jumping and reaching for the vine, and then you're going to have to do the hand swing thing, part of it, and then you're going to want to do like a post jump where he swings off and lands. So that's 3 animations that you need to do just for swinging on the vine, in addition to an idle, a walk, and a run, and a separate jump that's just, you know, jump straight up and down type of thing. So what else do we have here? And the chessboard portion, I'm not sure where that's supposed to go. I know you guys said towards the end of the level. I'm not sure if that means here, this little platform over here, or if that means on this big circular part here. I think, is that where the tree starts, or just need to figure out. Maybe I'll just look at the puzzle pictures that you made for me before, and I'll look at that, but just maybe help me out, point out where that needs to go. And also we need to implement puzzles, because right now you just kind of run through it. So little things in the way. I'm sure enemies will definitely be a challenge since these are skinny areas, so we'll have to see about that one as well. Yeah, so this is the forest level, just real quick and dirty. It was really easy to put in. Everything worked automatic, like right when I imported it, the player and everything. Nothing had to be tweaked, just added materials, and everything's fine. So good job on that. You know, bound to figure it out at some point. But yeah, this is what it looks like. Okay, so in addition to that, what else is going to get done by this weekend? I have a list here that I will be posting on Facebook along with this video. I just want to do the video so I could just show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about it. But we're gonna do in-game. Sorry, we're gonna do in-game narrations. If you have watched that other video, those are the narrations that happen while you're playing the game. But one of the big things that I was pointing out that kind of needs to be done. It always freaks me out. I play it and I have the sound in my headphones, but I'm talking to you guys. It's like ah. Anyways, yeah, there's in-game narrations as they're walking through the hospital or wherever they're at, just while they're playing. But one big part of that I really wanted to do is she says something and the narrator responds. So for example, in the part where he says she recognizes an old friend and that's when she first meets the dog, I definitely want her to say, hey, it's Rufus, you know, where are you going, Rufus, as he runs away. And then in response to that, the narrator says she recognizes an old friend. So it's kind of like reading a book. You have the dialogue of the character that you're playing, the character that you're involved with and really into, and then you have the narrator who's kind of telling the story as you go along. So there's that portion. Also the pre-level narrations and cinematics that will be worked into the UI. I just need those cinematics. Jen knows what I'm talking about, and John and Julius know what I'm talking about the basically the pictures, you know, slowly zooming in while other pictures kind of fade in and out over top of that while the guy's narrating. You know, they don't need to be animated or anything, they just need to be pictures, and the pictures should be based on the narrations that we did, the little story that we did. So like you could have a picture of her playing with Rufus, a picture of Rufus sleeping or dying, however you want to put that, her reading her children's book without Rufus, and then her on the hospital bed, and then she jumps in the game. So like there's that little story, like little the visuals to the story, to the narration. Something real simple. Don't want to overload you guys with too much work on that one, but it'll definitely help out the game. So while we're in the hospital, I'm going to go ahead and point these out. So I'm going to fix the NPC dog that leads the player around. Right now the dog goes between these little follow points and then waits, which was completely unnecessary because I just wasn't thinking straight at the time. Maybe I was tired. But instead, basically, here's his end point. That's the only point that will be in there, and then he's just going to run straight to that point. But if he gets too far away from the player, he'll stop and wait. So regardless of where the player's at, he'll stop and wait. He's not going to just stop and wait at these points. So if the player stops or backtracks, the dog will come back, and so that when the player is backtracking, they don't lose that NPC to help guide them through the level. In addition to that, the NPC will most likely stick around with the player throughout the entire level, guiding them to the end. Instead of doing the glitter trail thing we were talking about doing with the dog, we'll be doing that. And I'm thinking that with those NPCs, when enemies show up, maybe the NPC will disappear, or it just won't be there, just to kind of give it some cohesion that the NPC is not necessarily helping you. Another option, let me know what you think of this, but another option, and I'll post this in the list too, or at least a question on Facebook, is we can go with like that little call thing, like the dog barks, a dog shows up and helps you, or the dog has to bark to have the NPC dog that guides you show up. And in addition to that, the NPC can help you fight. So if you're the rat, you turn on the rat, you call the rat comes and helps you find your way. But in addition to that, the rat can help fight. I'm sure the rat won't last very long. The dog will probably last a lot longer. That also gives you an option. And maybe in addition to that, if you use the call, you instantly drain all the power for that form, and then you have to wait a little while to get into that form again. But the upside is that you get that NPC to help you. And the really cool part about that too is that there would be some cohesion, as in you're not a dog while there's a dog that you're following, because you've already drained all the power to be the dog. Now at some point you probably could change back into the dog, before that NPC disappears. But at least then it's not just like a dog following a dog or a rat following a rat. It would be like, I'm the dog, I bark, the dog NPC shows up, I instantly turn back into the girl because I ran out of power, which I might implement as a default. Once you run out of power of a certain form, you instantly convert back into the girl because you drained your power. The dog shows up, you're the girl, you follow the dog disappears after a while, your power comes back, and you can turn back into the dog. So we'll try that out. I don't want to run into any situations where you ran out of power as the dog, and holy shit, I need the dog to get through this next part because there's no way I'm making this jump, or I need to bark these enemies out of the hallway or something like that. But I thought that would be a really good mechanic, a really good play on that we could do with that. Is instead of calling NPCs to help you, it's that same NPC that you're following that comes by, and so we're basically converting that glitter trail thing that the dog was going to do into any of the forms. It's just that whichever form calls on is the form that will follow, is the form that you'll follow, and it's the form that will also help you fight. The only exception to that is that the dog will be here in the beginning because it plays into the story for you to follow. However, in the future levels, the rat won't just show up by default. Maybe at the very, very beginning just to guide you, but like after that you'd have to call on it to get that guidance. Anyways, kind of a long explanation to that, but that's what I'm thinking now. It's really simple, it's easy to do, and it adds another mechanic, something that the player can do to help them out, but not be too overpowering. Another huge thing is we have to get some puzzles in this fucking hospital. Right now they're not really puzzles. I mean, the ones that we had before, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, they suck. Like, you press a button, and doors open. That's not really a puzzle. That's just you press the button. We gotta get something going here where, to get through a hallway you have to do this, but the thing that you have to do is maybe you backtrack a little bit, or you have to change into a form to do it, so on and so forth. You have to, it's got to be challenging. You have to figure it out. Versus, I press the button, the door is opened. I mean, granted, the player might not know to press the button, but I mean, honestly, if it looks like a button and it's on the wall, you're probably gonna click it, and the door's open. Need something a little bit more that requires a little bit more mental power, I'm guessing. But yeah, the hospital right now just doesn't really have any puzzles, so we really got to get those in there. I know we were talking about doing like the dream world, nightmare world. I'm pretty sure that we're pretty much just getting rid of that because we haven't really used it. We're not really talking about it, and at this point it would be too much to add. So we got to change that last bit puzzle that's in there, and we just got to figure something out that'll help. I'm going to make a puzzle. It's on my list down here. I'm going to make these spirit illusions, which will definitely work in the hospital since you have the dog. So if I didn't explain to you what the spirit illusions are, it's basically you run by a wall that looks kind of weird, and you have the ability to bark at the wall, and if you bark at the wall will disappear, revealing what it actually was. So basically the spirits are tricking you into thinking that you can't go a certain way, or that there's a door or something, or that there's no rat hole, it's just a normal wall or something. In addition to that, spirits will pretend to be boxes, so maybe play that into a puzzle. Maybe like, oh, I could use a box to do this. You go to grab the box, it disappears, and the spirit flies away. And then you have to try to figure out a different way to activate the button and get through the puzzle or something. But the illusion will definitely help in the hospital for sure, because you only have the two forms, the girl and the dog, and there's not a whole lot you can do with that in such a confined space. So I'm hoping those illusions will really help kind of turn the hospital into a bit of a maze. I don't know what you guys think about that, but just let me know. In addition to that, let's see here. We also need sound effects, which I'm going to try to find some on my own and put them in. I already know that I have some footsteps. I'm not sure how great they are, but I'll put them in, see how they sound. Ryan pointed out sounds for the transitions. So basically, you transition into the rat should squeak. I'm also thinking there should be an actual sound for that like blue beam thing, like the blue beam thing comes down, and that should be like a or something. I don't know, some kind of sound. It doesn't have to be sci-fi or anything, but there should be something there. And the AI should definitely make noises, because right now they're pretty quiet. So maybe the AI has some footsteps, and they growl or groan or moan or whatever the hell they do. Just some kind of noise that, the AI is following you, or that they're there, just to give the game a little bit more depth. Also, I'm going to fix the AI. They're fucking being stupid right now, and mostly it's their flee. So I think I'm going to change their flee, which I pointed out down here. Instead of just running away because after that they're not really getting deleted, and you might just leave that part of the level. So I'm thinking that when they flee, like when the dog barks at them or whatever happens, that it makes them run away or whatever. I want them to run away for like a moment, then like poof into a thing of smoke, and then that smoke flies away. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Supernatural, but it's kind of like what the demons look like, is what I'm thinking. Like the demons come out of the guy's body and then they kind of disappear. So I'm thinking about doing that with the enemies. In addition to that, like I said before, the enemies can pretend to be things. And I was also thinking, like, if you push a box into the enemy, they might poof away and smoke temporarily. This also opens up the idea of spawning in enemies throughout the game rather than them having being pre-placed. So I am going to throw in some enemy spawns just as you're playing. They'll show up. They're not going to show up like right on top of you, but they'll definitely spawn in areas that there's like nothing right now. But then we'll also have the ability to get rid of them, i.e. turning on lights, ramming them with a box, or barking at them. I'm thinking of maybe having other ways of killing them too. So like if you use the dog form and you can no longer use the dog form and all he has the rat form, the rat should be able to do something as well to get rid of them, maybe. So we'll look into that. I'm still going to keep the enemies spawning at pre-placed areas for sure, and this is mostly a test and see thing. So I'm just going to throw it in there, test it out, see how it is, give you guys the build, see what you guys think. If it's too much, if we want to keep it, but it's too much, we'll down it a little bit. If it's just too much, even a little bit, then we'll get rid of it and just stick with pre-place. But I figured it's a really easy thing to implement, and it would be a good idea to just try it, just to see how it plays out in the game, to see if it adds enough challenge to where the player feels like there's a little bit of an adrenaline rush, but without totally fucking killing the game, because it is supposed to be more of a puzzle game that makes you think with the story. So. Other things, let's see here. Yeah, like I said, fix the AI, because right now I don't know what's going on. They were working fine before, but I'm going to implement the menu. I looked at the Team Wazam's menu, and it looks fucking fantastic. So I'm a little bit jealous. But then again, they kind of need a menu because they're an online game, and they need to be able to get into online lobbies and choose their character and everything like that. But, you know, we should think of a pretty clever menu. We don't necessarily need to go too complex on it, because for the most part you just have to hit start and the game starts, but we can always throw things in there like exit the game and options to turn music up or down, or ambience up and down, or just sound effects up and down type of thing. But that can give us a menu to just really polish the game out when we're done. Yeah, the UI changes, I think I talked about that. I just need to implement them. No big deal. Just going to throw them in there this weekend. So this week, I'm really trying to get this game done like this week. So that last week, we're really just polishing and really just making it look fantastic, getting rid of bugs and everything. And I know we'll have a little bit more time after week 8, but I really want to make this like 110% when we give it to Christian, so he really knows that we knew what the hell we were doing. So let's do that. And then, yeah, so for the hospital. And then lighting. This place needs lighting. I've slapped some point lights in here, but you guys are the artists. And I love lighting. I love doing materials and everything, and it's fun. But I really want the levels to be your guys' concept, and really pop the way you guys want it. So just, slap some lighting in here. If you want shadows, make sure you turn on shadows with the point lights. Stay away from directional lights because we don't have a roof. So basically, either we need to put in a roof, or skybox maybe, but that might be too much. But yeah, put in a roof. Keep the ambient lighting at black, which it is right now. But yeah, we can either put in a roof, or we can only put in point lights. That way, the player, like when the player looks up in the sky, it's black. It's not even gray. It is black. Versus seeing this open space and realizing the hospital has no roof, and that's just kind of weird. Yeah, so just put in the lightings, make it whatever color you want, blue, yellow, orange, whatever colors you feel are good for the hospital. I know we talked about maybe making a little bit blue on the blue side or the gray side or something. So just go ahead in here, light up the hospital, and yeah, the hospital should look pretty good after that. And I like this. It's pretty black, and the enemies just come straight out. I move the point. They come out of the darkness, which is kind of nice. But if you want to put a light in there, that's fine. Just we'll figure something out for that, but it looks pretty good. So it just needs lighting for now. I'm rambling on a little bit, but yeah, the hospital is definitely the worst looking, but it has a lot of potential. I don't know what kind of updates have been made for it, or if you guys have changed up models or anything, but yeah, the hospital has been looking very prototype-ish for a while now, and we only have, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks to get it done. So we should probably put a lot of time into this, since the forest and the city already look pretty freaking fantastic and just needs some fixes. Then the hospital should definitely have a little bit more time into it, especially since it's the first level and it's the first impression. Moving on to the city. Not much for the city other than what I pointed out before, and I'm not sure how much you guys are going to change in this city to make it better and to fix some of the things that I pointed out. But I mean, the city's pretty solid as it is. I think Ryan said that he changed these islands models, so those definitely need to be put in there for sure. And the buildings are fine, but definitely puzzles. I know I had talked about that one thing one time. You could put like a... This might be hard to explain. I'm going to go to top-down view, see if that helps explain it. What you could do with a puzzle. I'm going to go to ISO view so you can see it. And I might be able to change this to wireframe, textured wire, render paths, light map resolution. I wish there was like a nice alpha. Now, anyways, I guess I'll just do it with the shadows or turn up the ambience. Okay, cool. So you can see it a little better. So, like, for example, you have this wall right here, okay, and there's a rat hole. There's stairs right here on the side of the building. What you could do is lower those stairs so when the player comes onto the side, they can actually crawl up the stairs. Okay. What you want to do is you could make like an L-shaped wall surrounding the stairs. And you could put a box on the top of the stairs. And then on this other side that allows you to climb these stairs and jump across the platforms, you can put doors. However, there's a button over here, like way over here. And if you stand on the button, the doors open, but like way too much time would pass from you being here to running over here and getting to the doors. So you gotta come through here as the rat, climb up the stairs, push a box over the wall, pull the box onto the button, and then you can go through the doors. So that's an example of a puzzle. It's really simple. It's like in a very localized area, meaning we could add a lot of puzzles, because that takes up almost no space for that puzzle. But yeah, definitely puzzles. We need lots of puzzles here for sure. Let's get out of isometric view there. So yeah, we definitely need puzzles, but that's one that I was thinking about. Another one would be like a wall that you have to jump on with the dog and turn into the rat and then crawl through a hole into a building that has like a ramp that comes out on the other side. So there's lots we can do here. This one has been a huge pet peeve of mine for a long time. Is there's this huge long board right here and this tiny gap. What's the point of turning into the rat for this when I get to jump across? What was the point of the board? Really, I could walk across that thing. We should make these boards longer and really put this far out there, and really separate these islands, pull them apart, make them have to turn into the rat to really get across. Make it to where they can't just turn into the dog and jump straight across. Really separate those things, really make them think. Right here, like, separate this out. Make this 5 platforms long, and then make the platforms move. I can build a script really fast that makes these platforms move up and down, or side to side. So you have to time your jumps and everything. It adds a little bit of challenge that makes it a platformer game versus a game where you're just kind of running through and being told a story. I'm going to fix the camera work. I'm going to be adding a follow behind. Actually, this is another thing I think was right in here. Camera work. Follow through forest log tunnels or doors, and fix camera options. So right now, the camera gets fixed, for example, when you're a rat right here. It looks at the rat, looks at the player, and then he comes across. Now, there's 2 ways it does it. Normally, the player moves in the direction that you point the joystick. That's great. It's perfect, everything. But what happens is when the camera is fixed, it works great. That can work great and everything, unless you go through a rat hole. If you go through a rat hole, it jumps over to the other position, which then changes the direction the character is going to move. And then the character kind of ends up not really necessarily going straight back into the hole, but like enough to where that camera does that weird glitching because it's trying to jump back and forth to each position. So the best way for that is to get rid of the move in the direction you point it for when the camera is fixed. However, you want them to move in the direction you point the joystick, like when they're coming through here. That way, when you put the joystick left, they go left, and then forward, and then right, and then left, and then forward. So they can climb up the stairs. Because otherwise, your controls are like inverted, and it's really messy. So I'm gonna put in camera works that basically you'll have different ones. Like this cam location here has a tag up here on the inspector of a location. I'm gonna have another one that's gonna be location no point. So location will be just you'll still move in the direction you point, which is great for here. But then there's going to be a location no point, which is great for rat holes. So that it's not moving in the direction of the joystick, but they are moving. The player will have to kind of guess. It actually feels a little bit better, even though that sounds like it wouldn't. So that'll be in there as well. And then also, like I said before, there will be another trigger box that I'll implement, and you can pretty much put it into the entire building. The camera will stay directly behind the player while they're like inside of a building with skinny hallways, and they won't be able to move the camera. So as the player moves forward, the camera will have this view. So, for example, I'll try to mimic what it'll kind of look like. They'll move in here like this, and they'll move up the stairs like this, and then they'll go through the door, and the camera will fall. Like it'll just trail through the hallway real nicely. It won't go through any walls. They won't have a whole lot of control. We can do things too where they enter this room and the camera goes to a fixed position in the corner like this, kind of like they do in Resident Evil, and then you're just running around like this. But yeah, the camera work, hopefully by the time I'm done this weekend, will be 100 times better. The forest. Let me jump over to the forest level. Other than what I've pointed out earlier with the forest, and like I said before, fantastic with the whole exporting importing thing, because it was perfect. There was no issues. Even though I copied the game, it wasn't necessary at all. You only added the objects that it absolutely needed, and it was pretty great. The only thing I had to change was the materials, which was pretty much normal anyways. For the forest, other than the material issue that I talked about, yeah, we definitely need to put the chessboard in there, and I want to do that this weekend, which means that we're going to need the tree, and then the lemur animations as I talked about before, and then I'm going to be adding in the NPC lemur as soon as those animations are completed. Just like the rat and the dog thing I talked about when I was showing the hospital level, there will be the lemur. Oh, I gotta stretch. It's a little bit of a longer video. So basically what I'll need from the artists, which is on this list, I'll post this list as well, and if there's anything that I didn't point out, because I know I'm forgetting something. Like I'm looking at this list and I know I'm forgetting something like big. I just don't really know what that is. So if you remember what it is and we talked about it and I just forgot, please let me know. Add it to the list on Facebook. We'll be good to go on that one, and I'll get it done this week as well. Please, if you have any crazy ideas of something that we had talked about before and really should be put in because it'll make the game look 100 times better, or it would be super awesome, please let me know so I can get it in this week. Because on the last week, I won't have the time to do it, because some of these things, they take at least 2 weeks, because the first week I'm doing a lot of testing and trial, and it's breaking, and then I have an epiphany the following week, and then I fix it, and if I don't have that extra week for the epiphany to get it done. Anyways, so for the artist, I need the complete lemur, and then the lemur animations of idle, walk, run, jump, pre-swing, one-handed swings, and post-swing. I also need the complete pre-level cinematics. Those are the little picture things I was talking about that happen between levels that kind of tell a little the short narration story between the levels. The tree and the tree root animation. The tree root can be a completely separate object that just pops out of the ground. So like it doesn't need to be attached to the tree. It could be like that root, and then you could have it animated where it kind of does like that, almost like a chameleon tail or chameleon tail like roll thing, where it like grabs an object and then moves it. And you don't have to do the moving part for the animation too. All you have to do is the busting out of the ground and then just wrapping around a cube or whatever, just wrapping around something. And then I would move it in code. Like I would tell him like, hey, you're moving this piece on the chessboard to this point over here. You don't have to animate that. That'll definitely be done in code. In addition to that, like any particles, like rocks that fly out as the root comes out, like that can be done in Unity too. So like I can do that really fast. If you guys want to make some rocks, some mesh rocks, I know there's plenty here in the forest we could probably reuse maybe. They're just a little bit flatter than what we would want for particles possibly. But if you want to make like little pebble rocks, meshes, and just throw them in there, I can make the particle emit those. So like when the rocks are flying out, they look like rocks. Puzzles, yeah, we need puzzles bad. Like puzzles. Yeah, like I said before, they need to be challenging, especially since there will be NPCs guiding the players. So, I mean, they might already be challenging. It's just I've played them a million times, but I just don't feel like they're puzzly enough. When I think of puzzle, borderline puzzle would be something that's an obstacle, like it's hard to cross, it could kill you type of thing. And on top of that, you have to think about it a little bit. So we just need the players to think a little bit about how to solve things and then feel good about solving that thing. And the murals too that Jen made are gonna definitely play into that reward factor. You know, they can complete a really difficult puzzle, and there's a mural on the other side with a little 1 or 2 line narration unfolding her story or how she feels about dying, about being in this other realm, missing her parents, missing her pets, missing life. You know, and that could be the reward. And then it would be really nice to redo the girl's run. It really does look like she's fast walking, and I mean, for me, it annoys me, and it's like just that one thing could make her so much better. I can try to do a little separate recording, maybe only like 10 seconds long, showing the run of that prototype girl I had to give you an idea of what the run should look like, because that run was awesome. But like this one, it just looks like she's fast walking. It really just, I don't know. I want her to run, like that exaggerated run. I mean, I'm trying not to be like a jerk about it or anything. It's just, I want her to run. And that could really help her out. All the other animations are super fucking awesome. They're super fantastic. But definitely that's like the one that needs to be like fixed in my opinion. And then some parts of like I said before, some parts of the forest need to be split up to different materials, so different materials can be applied. Instead of having this be one big object, just split them into pieces. What you can do too is just go into Maya as it is here and just bust these meshes off. And then just re-import this whole object right on top of there. I believe I've done this before. If you separate these, select them all, and then export selection, they should be like one object here in the hierarchy, just folded up like the player is, like this. So you can place them back. Like you can make it a child of this object, zero it out so it's in the exact same place, and then just delete this big one. And then from there, you can just move the individual parts to move them apart further, so that you can't just jump across with the dog, and to really spread the level out. Spreading the level out too will make these gaps that the rat has to crawl over a little bit more daunting. It'll make the game a little bit more challenging, and it'll expand the level too, so it just looks bigger as well, even though it's not really bigger. It's just, it'll look that way. So definitely separate those. If you want the tree to be 2 different colors, you gotta separate the branches and the trunk. If you want these pieces here to be 2 separate colors, you got to separate that groundish piece with the dead tree piece, and so on and so forth. Especially here, like these should be rocks. I mean, these should be like those old stone-looking things, like Stonehenge stuff over here. You know, those should be rocks, and then dirt down here. So definitely should separate those out. Got roots here, you know. And I know we're not doing texturing or anything, but we're doing color. You know what I mean? Like even if it's a desaturated kind of gloomy color, we're doing color, and it really makes it pop when there's like a little bit of a separation between the objects. So I hope this video was helpful. And these are what I'm shooting to get done for this week, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be done. If I'm missing anything, please let me know, and I will add them to the list to get them done. And I will be posting videos as I get chunks of these done. I'll definitely post it when the menu system's in there and the game loop is in there, and the UI would be a part of that, and everything like that. So, and I'm definitely going to post builds, because I need your guys' opinion on how these changes are playing into the game, like how the AI are, and how the NPC dogs are. If something's happening that you ran into that didn't happen to me and I can fix it, definitely get in there. Yeah, so the video was a little bit long. Sorry about that. Just let me know if there's anything else, and I hope you guys have as much fun over the next 2 weeks building this as I've had for the last 6 months, because it's really starting to turn out really well. Just, you know, pushing to the end and really sell this thing, make it really awesome looking, and you know, put it in your guys' portfolio, because you guys worked really hard and it looks really great.